Biathlon and cross-country skiing are amongst the most grueling endurance sports. In order to excel in these sports, it's important to have a well-structured training plan that takes into account the specific demands of the sport. Training periodization is the process of structuring a training plan to optimize success over a specific period of time, usually in the lead up to a major championship or event. In this episode of Biathlon University, I'll be discussing the principles of training periodization. I'll also be sharing some tips and strategies for you to incorporate periodization into your training plan. So whether you're an aspiring athlete looking to take your training to the next level, or a coach looking for new ideas to help your athletes achieve success, this is the video for you. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Halligan, and this is my YouTube channel about biathlon. Now, there are two key aspects that you need to understand before you can truly grasp the methodology behind periodization. The first is stress and its impact on the body. When we go for a run, lift weights, or climb a mountain, we're actually applying stress to our body. We're actually subtly breaking it down and using up its energy. And in doing so, our bodies not only respond by rebuilding, but actually by growing back stronger and adapting to cope with the stress that is demanded. Training periodization is the process of structuring a training plan to strategically apply stress in order to maximize growth. In layman's terms, if you're always stressing the body at the same rate, your body will become accustomed to that specific stress. It will no longer need to grow stronger to cope with the stress because it is already so effective at coping. The second aspect that you need to understand are the different types of stress. There's muscular stress, pulmonary stress, and cardiovascular stress, to name a few. But specifically for endurance sports such as cross-country skiing and biathlon, cardiovascular strength has the biggest impact on endurance. So if you need a quick refresher on heart rates and lactic acid production, check this video right here for further explanation. And why don't you hit subscribe while you're at it? So knowing these key aspects, let's dive into the basics of periodization training. A common periodization model consists of four main phases: the intensity phase, the build phase, the volume phase, and the recovery phase. The intensity phase is the initial training phase where the main focus is on raising the heart rate and upping the intensity. In this phase, speed and pushing your body to the limit is the focus. The build phase is next, and the focus shifts to building efficiency and improving technique. The volume of the training goes up, and the intensity starts to shift towards an easier exertion, and lactic threshold becomes the intensity priority. Next is the volume phase, where the focus is not on intensity, but maximizing your time in level 1. The sheer volume of training in this phase should be enough to stress your body without needing to raise the heart rate. And finally, the essential recovery phase. The recovery phase is arguably the most important phase, as it is the time when your body builds back stronger. All the stress you put on your body over the last 3 phases should leave your body pretty drained. So your body needs time to recoup, adapt, and grow, like I mentioned earlier. So this is what a typical cycle looks like at the micro level. It follows this basic structure of intensity, build, volume, and recover. Now I want to be clear. Just because a week is labeled intensity or recovery doesn't mean that you're only pushing your body to the limit and going all out, or you're only sitting on the couch and doing nothing. An effective plan will touch all forms of stress and recovery during the week, but it's the focus of the week that keeps it in line with the periodization cycle. As time moves on, we cannot forget that without strategically adding more stress, our bodies will become complacent. So as time goes on and we begin to zoom out, we begin to see the cycles repeat itself, but now in the form of blocks. Basically, a block is a set of 4 weeks that follows the same periodization cycle that we just mentioned. And you can probably predict the next step in the pattern. As we continue to zoom out, so we continue to follow the 4-week pattern and create what are known as periods in the periodization method. Now you can't forget the all-important recovery period, so be sure to not divert from the pattern the best you can. Now those who are quick with math will realize that 4 weeks times 4 blocks times 4 periods equals 64 weeks in a full periodization plan. Since there's only 52 weeks in a year, you'd only get to the first block in the recovery period before you needed to start over. And also, what about race season? And what if the most important race of the year falls in a volume week of a volume block? This is where working with a coach and keeping a training log are critical. First, a coach can help you schedule your training so you are primed and ready to go for the race. And second, the training log is a record of how you adapt to the training. Not every athlete will follow this pattern exactly, and keeping diligent notes of how you are doing as you complete your training can help you and your coach modify your plan for personal success. But what if you don't have a coach? Well, I'm going to go over how I go about writing a training plan right now. The first thing to do is identify the time or the event that you want to target for success. For some of us, it's at the end of the winter, like a championship. For others, it may be at the beginning of the year, at like a trials event. Whatever it is, it's important that we identify this event ahead of time so we can take full advantage of peaking. Peaking is when an athlete seemingly times their best performances for the races that matter. Sometimes this can go wrong and an athlete can perform their best when it doesn't matter, like a week too early, or even worse, a week later than they wanted. But basically, peaking is a product of timing the periodization cycle to have your body maximize its strength for the targeted event. Here's how it works. As your body copes with the stress and grows stronger, like we mentioned before, it becomes increasingly ready to survive the volume you test it with. But what happens if suddenly the stress disappears? Your body has grown to cope and be ready for a massive load of stress, and it never comes. You're probably gonna feel pretty good, huh? Well, that's what peaking is. It's training your body to expect an immense amount of stress, and the only stress it faces is the stress from the race you are targeting. So when scheduling a periodization schedule, I like to identify the specific event I want to target and work backwards from there. I start by giving myself 3 weeks of recovery time in the lead up to the event. Why 3 weeks? Because that's where the volume week falls in a block, when your body is completely recovered from the previous period and ready for a ton of stress. In that 4th week leading up to the event, I start working backwards through the volume period, the building period, and the intensity period until I get to today. In a nutshell, this is how you can start to build your own training plan. But what about balancing a training plan with a race season where you want to race all winter but still perform well at the end of the season? Or what if there are roller ski trial races in the fall that are important to your season? Well, all I can say to that is that's part of the game. Balancing all these factors and writing an effective training plan is what separates the best coaches and athletes from the rest. If you're looking for a training plan, a resource to bounce training ideas off of, or even a virtual coach, check the link in the description down below to see the different coaching packages I offer that will help you step up your ski and biathlon games. If you found this video helpful, hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, we'll see ya.